Hello and welcome to the Drops UCI versus Tindall and Co Chase. It is a unique event that will see a women's professional team, UCI Drops, L'Ecole, battle it out and try and chase down a group of celebrities and ex-sports people, all in the name of researching Parkinson's disease. So for a very, very good cause indeed. Now, each of our groups will start at different points based on a handicap system, and they will race along a course on Zwift, which is 36.2 kilometers long, should I say, and it is the Keith Hill after party, and it has a very nasty sting in the tail because most of the elevation is within the last 4.1 kilometers. It is a brutal course and should be a very, very exciting race indeed. Now, I'm Matt Stevens, and helping me run the rule over the riders and the course today is Olympic champion and apparently Zwift expert and aficionado. It's Amy Williams. Hello, Amy.
Hi there. I think using the word expert on Zwift is a little bit, a bit too big. But yeah, no, you know what? I'm so excited today. I think this is such an exciting event for obviously a massive cause. But to have so many ex-athletes together from all over the world of sport, getting chased down by the incredible women's team. I mean, it's going to be very exciting to watch.
Great stuff. And what are you particularly going to be looking out for today on today's race?
Oh, well, let's just see if there's any like inner tactics. We've got the amazing Dame Sarah Storey and her Storey racing team and some of the girls. Let's face it, Mike Tindall is going to be involved. He's fit on the bike. He's done a lot. We've got someone like Austin Healy, his old teammate, who is, anyone knows him. He's incredible on the bike. So let's just see how it all kind of like comes together and see who pops that old athlete hat on them and can't resist, trying to chase everyone down and win.
Great stuff, Amy. Well, also alongside us, making three of us on this virtual tandem talking through today's event is none other than TV presenter and rugby aficionado, Alex Payne. Alex, lovely of you to join us, mate.
It's very, very nice to be here. I love the way that Amy gets introduced as an expert. I sort of feel like, I think he was a taxi driver, the guy that turned up to the BBC for a job interview and then ended up on BBC News 24 as some sort of tech expert. He definitely looked rather lost, and I slightly feel I've been put into the wrong Zoom call. I thought I was coming to Keith Hill's after party, which is going to be a very different affair, but very much at the front of the queue of people who are hoping to learn a little bit more about what this afternoon is all about, and certainly here for a very good cause and a good friend.
Now, and of course, you know very well Mike Tindall, who, of course, is the patron of the Cure Parkinson's Trust. So give us a little bit of an insight into how much kind of this means for him.
Yeah, well, at least he's on his bike and has got dressed, because we spoke to him a few minutes ago and he had his nose in the trough and I think was picking out a fine wine for a little bit later on. So good to see that he has actually turned up to his own event. But yeah, I'm lucky enough to do a pod with Tins on a weekly basis. It's fairly shambolic, but we have a lot of fun doing it. And as part of that, obviously, got to know him extremely well and therefore know how passionate he is about Cure Parkinson's. We'll hear a little bit more from him on that throughout the course of this afternoon, but it's a cause that's deeply sort of personal to him, with his dad as a sufferer of the condition. And given that he's probably not as fit as he'd like to be taking on this challenge, we will try and talk to him a bit later on. But in case he is huffing and puffing, I know that he's very keen to push the fact that I think a lot of the Parkinson's community feel that the big barrier is not science, it is funding. And that's why we're here today, is to try and have a lot of fun, but also raise a lot of money to make that big breakthrough for Parkinson's suffering. And I know that he'll be trying to direct people as best he can towards that Cure Parkinson's Just Giving page. So he's a good man who is raising a lot of awareness and hopefully a lot of money for a cause that most people on this event will be very passionate about supporting and very much buying into, as part of that community.
Well, I think we'll have a little bit of, as you say, a bit of a chat with Mike and numerous other athletes and celebrities a bit later on. But let's have a little bit of a look at exactly, what the Parkinson's Trust is all about.
My connection to the charity to the Cure Parkinson's Trust is that my dad has Parkinson's. He got diagnosed back in 2003, and this is the guy who taught me how to play rugby, taught me how to do sports, taught me what winning was all about. The reason for Cure Parkinson's Trust is because they are only interested in stopping, reversing, or curing the disease. They're not interested in living with it. It's probably not going to help my dad, but if it can stop some other son or daughter having to watch their dad go through what I've watched my dad go through, then it's worth every bead of sweat on Zwift. We've tried to bring sort of three themes together. We've got the rugby, we've got Taylor Phinney, world champion in his own sport, and then we've got Frankie Hall, who's going to be the lead rider on the drops team. So, and we've all got something in common. All of our fathers are suffering from Parkinson's as well. So, it was a way of bringing multiple sports that have performed at the highest level, cycling at the amateur and at the pro level all together, putting in a handicap system which theoretically we should all be able to compete, and it should be a sprint finish. Whether it turns out that way, I'm going to be interested to see. We'll get loads of Zwifters to sign up and join in, and we'll have some fun along the way in terms of trying to get some stories out whilst you're blowing out your backside, and have some chats with the hosts, and hopefully we can make it something that people really enjoy, and maybe we can do a few more of. I have been Zwifting basically since I retired in 2014. And when you retire, you always look at ways of trying to stay fit. I didn't really want to go down the route of doing a lot of running, but then I sort of got into a few challenges, and there's always a lot of charity stuff you can do on the bike, and there's loads of cycles out there, and that sort of dragged me into it. And with with Zwift, it's so accessible in terms of you can do it anywhere 24/7. So myself and Will Cook, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the charity Cure Parkinson's Trust, we sort of came up with, it's been something that's grown. Obviously, we did the Raid Pyrenean 2 years ago. After we'd done that, we sort of sat down as a charity and we thought we need to do more of this. And this is where the UCI Drops race has come about. Whether you give £20 or £200, every penny raised up to the £10,000 mark will be doubled by an anonymous matched donor. So please donate.
We've already moved along at a rapid pace. We're going to be joining the riders out on the course. The vast majority of the groups have already started on the Keith Hill after party. But without further ado, let's have a little look at that course in particular. It's based on a series of London loops, and we should get a nice little graphic now to take us through exactly what the riders are going to face. There it is. It is in the London world. It's called the Keith Hill after party. Total of 22.5 miles, which equates to 36.2 Ks, with elevation, as you can see, well over 1,300 feet, which is 407 metres. But crucially, half of that elevation is gained in the last 4.1 kilometres up the absolute brute of a climb, which is really going to sort the competitors out. They start off on the Greater London Loop, on the Classic Group and the Greater London Flats, as you can see there, essentially flat. They do that in both directions. Then they head out through the subway and then into the Surrey Hills with the final climb of Keith Hill. So as you can see, flat as a pancake through the streets of London, each and every way, out into Surrey and up that very, very nasty climb. So measuring your effort today on a course like this is going to be absolutely crucial. So we'll be joining the riders soon. But Amy, can we just have a little bit of a word? We haven't had time just yet, as we look at the stats one more time, about the Drop cycling team, because they are the team that are going to be chasing down all of these sports people and celebrities. And they are certainly not going to want to not catch them, are they?
Of course they're not. No, I mean, these are the professional girls. I mean, the great thing is that they are a very experienced team, experienced on Zwift as well. So they've got Frankie Hall as their director sportif. So, I mean, she's been getting all the girls ready. You know, they've been psyched up, they've been training, they know what they're doing. And yeah, we said earlier that it's, you know, so important to Frankie. Her father's got Parkinson. So I think with anything, when you've got that real drive, that passion, that goal that you want to do, whatever it is in life, and whether it's just like an event today, you know, they want to come together, they want to get their tactics, and, you know, like everyone, they want to be chasing down everyone and making sure that they actually finish off on that very top space.
And before we came on air, we had a bit of an off-camera chat, didn't we, with Dame Sarah Storey, an Olympic champion like yourself. And we know, I mean, she's been on for about 40 minutes already. She's been out for a walk this morning. She's warming up. She would not want to get caught by those girls either, will she? There's Barney.
Oh, no, she doesn't. I mean, you know, this is a busy working mum with her husband there. She's got her own team, you know, Storey racing team, you know, and she's been out splashing around with her kids in puddles. She's already been on the bike. She's been warming up now for, you know, a good 45 minutes or more. She's prepped. She's got her meal planning, you know, she's got everyone behind her and she knows what she wants to do. She's got that Olympic hat on. She's in the right headspace and she wants to smash this day in this race.
Yeah, make no bones about it. This is all about raising money for a good cause. I think we're going to have a great laugh. There's going to be a lot of pain as well. So it's a combination, fun, games and suffering, but all raising money for a wonderful wonderful charity, of course. Last word from you, Alex, before we actually join the training. I had a call from Austin Healy earlier on, who again has been training for about 30 minutes, warming up. Said he wants to win this one. That's intel from, what do you think? Because he is such a competitor, isn't he?
He is an extraordinary athlete, and I'm glad that he has set himself out in that stall, because you know, Amy talking to Dame Sarah earlier, absolutely no responses from Dame Sarah. It was just sort of thumbs up or thumbs down. There was no chit chat. We're in the zone. Mike, as we said earlier, was sort of pottering around. I think had come in late from whatever it was he's been doing this morning, and definitely looks underprepared. So in the name of rugby, I'm glad that Austin is going to give it his all. And you talk about, you know, incredible athletes. You know, you both know that Austin is a pretty talented guy. I sort of remember years ago him doing the Superstars on the BBC, and he was sort of leagues above everybody else in that versatility element. He's pretty good at that power to weight ratio. So he carries the banner today. We have got a couple of other rugby players for those who are interested. Will Carling is out on the bike today for us, who interestingly made his debut 23 years ago for England. So there's one for the Statos. Rob Wainwright, the former Scotland captain. I think the great shame today is that those who are dialing in hoping for a bit of comedy will be disappointed that Iain Balshaw has pulled out. There are those rugby players that retire and stay fit, like Mike and Austin, and there are those who don't, like Ian. But he has failed a late broadband test, unfortunately. So no Iain Balshaw. It's over to Austin, Mike, Will, and Rob as the rugby players. But off we go, Matt.
Off we go. Yes, indeed. Well, you can just see they're still on a. This is the ride leader, Sarah Storey, there, just in that group. All of the riders here kitted out, unsurprisingly, with the Lacole kit on. Lacole, of course, sponsor drops. And our first proper picture-in-picture of Dame Sarah Storey. She's the rider with the little beacon. So generally on Zwift, when you're out on a ride and you're a ride leader, you do get that little beacon, and everybody else can kind of aim for that, float around you, and use that as a nice guide. And we've got Barney Storey there as well with the headphones on. Looks like he is taken on the director sportif role, making sure that Dame Sarah Storey. I mean, whilst I have a quick word with you, Barney. I mean, how focused is it Dame Sarah Storey? She looks completely in the zone and has been all day so far. Oh,
we're going to have to go back to thumbs up or thumbs down.
We are going to have some sign language. Sadly, we can't actually hear you there, but I think we could get a sense of what it's all about in the Payne Cave, the very, very beautifully decorated Payne Cave of Dame Sarah Storey, who I know is not going to want to get caught today. But back out on the streets of London here, just a brief explainer of what you can see in terms of user interface. Top left of the screen, that's your checkered flag. That's how far we have to go, so just a smidge under 36 Ks. 600 metres already underneath the wheels. Lap 1 of 1, of course this is essentially one big circuit, through London first before we head out into the Surrey Hills. That's the elapsed time on the right hand side, and just on the right hand side there you can see the distance travelled by the various riders, because of course this is a handicap system. And that little thumbs up, well, if anybody is watching who are obviously on the Zwift platform, fire up your Zwift companion and you can give these riders a bit of a ride on, which is essentially the same as giving a like on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook. So please do get involved in terms of giving riders rides on, and also Google Just Giving Drops Tindall and make sure you drop some serious cash, because this is a proper fundraiser and should be a lot of fun. And we've just got a bit of a look at Will Cook here. He is of course the CEO of the charity. We've received a lot of emails from him over the last few days. I don't think I've ever met, as we were saying earlier on, Alex. I mean, give an insight. We'll be speaking to Will in a bit, but that is one enthusiastic CEO, without a shadow of a doubt, Alex.
It certainly is. I think he's collapsed the broadband service in southwest London for the amount of communication that he's been through. You picked up, Matt, earlier on as well, just the OCD coming through on the boot rack in the background there. You know, tidy shed, tidy mind, and that hopefully delivers a performance. What I'm hoping is that everything he's stuffed behind the camera doesn't collapse forward onto him halfway around the course at this point. But he is I've got to know Will a little bit actually over the last year to 18 months or so, and I think all three of us in agreement that you will not find a more enthusiastic chief exec of a charity, and the fact that he's out there and sort of quietly competitive as well. We've got World Cup winners, we've got Olympians, we've got really big names from the world of cycling in today, but I think Captain Cook quietly fancies his chances of springing a surprise out there as well. So we'll hopefully have a chat to him a bit later on, but he certainly is really driving Cure Parkinson's from the very front, and it's great to be in his slipstream, so to speak.
Well, this is the view of the team that are going to do all the chasing. This is the Drops team. You can just see the Drops kit there. They're riding in their own team kit, which is slightly different to the other riders. It's one of my favourite kits in both the men's and the women's peloton. It's like a stick of rock kind of. They've kept that kind of same design for the last few years. Very, very distinctive indeed. And this is the group that are basically chasing everybody down. So I guess when you look at it, Amy, they've got their professional kind of credibility at stake here. That although this is raising money for charity, we're all having a good laugh. Make no bones about it. They want to make sure they make the catch.
Yeah, of course they do. I mean, they are professionals. They're cycling every single day. They're dedicating their lives, their hours every single day to getting, faster, fitter, stronger. Yeah, so they want to chase through. They are expected to be at the front. They're expected to come on through from the back and fighting through. And I think that's the lovely thing, isn't it? You know, everyone here is joined together on a bike, and they've probably now, with all this lockdown, haven't been together as much as they've wanted to be. And this is an opportunity today.
That certainly is. You can just see, again, just looking on the right hand side, it's a different set of stats than we normally see if you're used to watching races on Zwift. This is basically whereabouts each different group is on the road. And as we said at the top of the show, this is essentially a handicap. There's being a staggered rollout just based on rider ability. The final group on the road is the group you're seeing here. They have got all the work to do. So they have, you can just see the distance. Mike Tindall's group, well, they've travelled 9.8 Ks. Sarah Storey's group, well, they've only travelled 6.6. And the drops group only 3.7. So I mean, Alex, again, you know a lot about rugby. You're kind of learning very, very quickly what it's like riding on Zwift. But when you look at that, plain and simple mathematics, that's a lot of road, that's a lot of tarmac, virtual tarmac to catch up, isn't it?
It's good to see the old quad still delivering for some of the old boys out there. It is extraordinary, actually. I mean, there is a real bond between former rugby players and their bikes. Martin Johnson, the man who led England in 2003 to World Cup glory, really enthusiastic cyclist. Will Carling does a huge amount. It's great to have him on today, but I think he's got his own charity, and he's got his own charity bike ride coming up quite soon. I think he's got some close family ties with diabetes and is looking to raise money in that field as well. And I think it's, rugby is probably a slightly curious game in that you do have to really put your body on the line for the brothers. It's not quite like football where one or two can swan around a bit, or cricket, which at times is a very individual sport. And that sense of teamwork that I think brings, top flight rugby players together is easily replicated out on the bike. I think it is that sense of teamwork, isn't it? Can I just say at this point as well how lovely it is to be out watching other people work but enjoying the sunshine on Zwift as well. I've been outside where I am in West London, it's grey, dank and wet, so I'm thoroughly enjoying the cyber ride.
It's generally always good weather on Zwift, though believe it or not, you can actually have rain. But okay, we've had a look at all the groups out on the road, but let's have a look at what this event is all about. It's time to find a little bit more about this wonderful charity, the Cure Parkinson's Trust.
What does Parkinson's look like?
It can look like me.
It can look like me.
It can look like me.
It could look like you. Parkinson's is a neurological condition caused by the loss of nerve cells in the brain.
It is not just a condition of the elderly.
It affects men, women,
Young and old.
Across all social backgrounds and at any age.
Globally, 10 million people are living with Parkinson's.
In the UK alone, 145,000 people are living with the condition.
And every hour, 2 people are told they have Parkinson's.
It is imperative we identify treatments that will change the course of the condition
and deliver them to the clinic as quickly as possible.
Unbelievably, people living with Parkinson's still rely on the same medication that was first prescribed in the 1960s.
Many of the drugs prescribed also induce challenging side effects.
Placing stress not just on the patients like me, but on all those who care for us.
Treatments currently available can help to alleviate some of the symptoms temporarily.
But they do nothing to stop the relentless progression of the disease.
The good news is that the research we have already funded has opened up new thinking, particularly in the understanding of cellular biology.
There is also increasing biochemical evidence that drugs being developed or already in use to treat other diseases may slow or stop the progression of Parkinson's.
Backed by this biochemical evidence and a committee of world-leading Parkinson's scientists,
The Cure Parkinson's Trust launched the linked clinical trial program in 2012 to test these potential treatments for people with Parkinson's.
Through linked clinical trials, we are fast-tracking the search for a cure.
We are now seeking funding to hasten this exciting new research.
the Cure Parkinson's Trust only funds research into treatments that have the potential to change the condition for good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's some really, really important message. Just a bit of a reminder of what this is all about as we look at the CEO, Will Cook, in his group there with that lovely little moniker, just above his head. They're just heading up. I think that's the Mall, actually. They're not too far away from Buckingham Palace here. And Alex, I think it might be about time. We've got a fair way into the event now. I think everybody's bedded in quite nicely. We've already discussed how neat and tidy the garage is of the CEO of this company. But how about we head in and actually have a chat with some of the riders today, Alex?
We could do that. Thank you, Matt. And it's good afternoon to Will and Mike. We're going past Buckingham Palace. Give them a little wave as you go past, Mike. You can probably see your corner bedroom from up there, I'd have thought. How are you getting on? When we spoke to you a little bit earlier in rehearsals, you were going pretty hard at the pasta, which I thought was a bold choice 20 minutes out before the race. Where are you now in the Payne zone?
Well, heart rate's at 160, so that's always a nice place to be. A third of the way into the race. I feel that my red chicken curry was not the best choice of lunch 20 minutes before I started riding. So a few things going on in my stomach right now, but at least it takes the pain away from my legs. So we'll just keep group. So at the moment, not too bad in terms of getting looked after by my group, as long as they can do that until the hill where they'll all leave me, because when you're a 100-kilo man, hills become a problem.
I like red chicken curry as the diet of champions before an afternoon's exertion. We did hear from you earlier.
I forgot that if it starts coming out one end, it doesn't help me up the hill.
We're a family show. Please try and keep it, a little cleaner than that. We very wisely recorded some profound words from you a bit earlier on about why Cure Parkinson's means so much to you. I just want to know how much the donations that are coming in today are helping you as you pedal.
Yeah, look, I would urge everyone to donate. It's great that we can get this many people. There's 272 people in my group here. It's great to get that many people, but speaking to my dad, I've only seen my dad once in a year because of lockdown and the fact that him and my mum are terribly scared to even go outside, and so I don't really know how his deterioration going. I hear from my mum it's changed a lot. Even Skype calls, but you don't really pick it up. And the whole reason that I am in this is so that another son and daughter hopefully won't have to watch their father, mother, auntie, uncle have to go through it as well. And there's a big myth that it's just an old age person's disease. Obviously my dad was sort of 52 when he got it, but you look at someone like Tom Isaacs who started it, I think he was 28, and I think the youngest that there's been is down here 10. So it's not about that. There's a lot of people contracting it per year, and the more money that we can put into it, the more chance we have as the researchers believe there's a cure out there, but unfortunately trials are lengthy and cost a lot of money, and that's what we're here for, is to raise the money to enable the researchers to do what they need to do.
Well done. One more quick question just before you pass out. Austin says he's going to win. True or false?
Well, he is slumming it down in the seas, because I did a race with him for Doddy Weir in the Motor Neurone on Thursday, and he came second in the Bs, averaging 4 watts a kilo. So don't believe any of the crap that he'll tell you. He should be in a different group right now. But it's nice for him to come back and help his mucker out, except that I think he's behind me at the moment, trying to play the role of a sweeper. So hopefully, oh no, he's next to me now, which is nice. If only I could kick him off his bike, then my life would be complete.
And so say all of us. Head down, bum up. Keep up the good work. Captain Cook, I'm going to come into you for a quick one. Shoes still in fine working order in the background. We learn a lot about people from the sheds in which they pedal. How are you getting on? Are you proud of your performance so far?
You know what, Alex? My heart rate's staying fairly steady, but since you played that VT of the Parkinson's people with the moving music, the adrenaline's gone through the roof. I'm not sure I'm going to make it all, but I'm happy. My D category is really looking after me. I'm surrounded by a fantastic group of D athletes, including, I was told just before the ride started, 8 people with Parkinson's. Amazing, inspirational athletes. Parkinson's is such a damaging neurological condition. To get out here and get riding, it's the best thing for them. So I'm pumped, Alex. I'm pumped.
Good. Just a quick word on the whole overall event and how it's come together and how proud you are of some pretty challenging times right now around the world, full stop. But this is a really good day for the charity, isn't it?
You know what? I'm an enthusiast, Alex, about this charity. I think it's a wonderful, glittering jewel of a charity. It punches so far above its weight with its influence and the research. But it's days like today that fill the heart with joy. I think we've got about 700, maybe more, entrants on Zwift from around the world, all pulling together, all with one thing, one focus, one goal. We're trying to beat drops. So it's a wonderful collegiate activity, and that really reflects this charity. This charity is all about bringing together scientists and researchers and people with Parkinson's to formulate the best plans, the best research, and then put that into practice. So great to be a part of this. Great to be inspired and great to raise a bit of money.
Brilliant. It's great to see the energy you've brought off the track, on the track as well. Well done. We'll catch up with you a bit later on, Matt.
Big thumbs up there. Make sure you do, and just have a look at Will's ride-ups. He's only got 13 ride-ups. Hall has got 37. Sarah Storey, well, she's the top of the leaderboard in terms of ride-ons. But come on, give Mr. Cook, the CEO of the company, for crying out loud, some more ride-ons. Give him a follow. There we go. We've got one more already. So get on your app and keep giving those riders the extra little bit of encouragement. And their back pockets, as you can see, will fill up with virtual glowing ride-on symbols. Now, it's time for another VT. We've had a nice chat with the key protagonists and the main man behind it all, but let's have another VT. This is another sufferer unfortunately, from Parkinson's. It's Alison's story. To take a look at this important VT.
Hello, I'm Alison. I've been living with Parkinson's for the past 5 years, and I use exercise to help me manage my symptoms. Since diagnosis, I've cycled thousands of miles in locations like Vietnam and closer to home, cycling the Land's End to John O'Groats route. Distance is not the only challenge for me when cycling. Parkinson's affects my balance, posture and stamina. It affects my ability to do simple things like fasten my shoes and zip up my jacket. It's also robbed me of my ability to smile. This cycle challenge promises to be physically and psychologically demanding, an insight into what every day is like when living with Parkinson's. Finding a cure for this progressive degenerative condition would transform my life and the lives of millions of us living with Parkinson's. Please make a donation to Cure Parkinson's via their Just Giving page. Search for Drops UCI. Every penny raised today, up to £10,000, will be matched by an anonymous donation. Thank you so much and enjoy the challenge.
Well, a really important and humbling message there from Alison. Please get on your phones, get on your laptops and make a donation, however big or small. And I can tell you what, cumulatively, they all do make a difference. And that is what this is all about. But without further ado, we've got riders on screen. We're about to jump in and have another chat with somebody. And it is Taylor Phinney, who we had a chat before the show. He was fully buttoned up. He's gone for the unorthodox approach. I think it was Amy who said he looked more like a surfer. He's got Lycra on. Now, Taylor, how are you, mate? How are you hanging?
You guys scared me about the difficulty of the event, so I put my spandex on. I'm currently feeling quite tight and happy to be sweating with everybody.
Okay, and have you still got your sandals on, or have you got cycling shoes on now, Taylor?
Oh, I still got sandals on, and I'm deeply regretting it, but just pushing on.
I'm just looking at your stats there. You're riding at around 280, 300 watts, which is very, very impressive considered with what you're wearing. But Taylor, just on a serious note, your father Davis obviously suffers from Parkinson's disease. He's got his own trust. Just how important is this event for you and for your father and for your family?
Well, this is actually, if you can believe it or not, the first time I've really worked with anybody outside of my dad's foundation, the Davis Phinney Foundation. So it's cool to be involved a little bit more in the community and just spread awareness. And, you know, from our side, it's all about trying to find the little victories in life, the things that inspire you to keep going forward. And that's always deeply centered in riding a bike. So this feels fitting, and I'm honored and grateful to be here.
And what's it like being in the group there? Again, you've put yourself at a slight disadvantage, but again, you've always been known to do things in an unorthodox way. How are you feeling? How are you feeling so far, midway through the pack, sitting in the wheels?
I mean, honestly, I'm sort of wishing I was in the D group. To be honest, I thought the C group was the safe choice, and then here I am. I haven't felt this way since the Tour de France like 2 years ago.
Do you think you've got a good chance of holding on, or are you worried about the drops team catching you?
Man, I welcome everyone, you know. I'll be happy if they catch me. But I'd be happy if I, put it to them, although I don't really care.
Good stuff. Well, Taylor, it's great to see you again, smiling, although I know deep down you're suffering ever so slightly, but you always do it with great flair, great imagination. We'll catch you a little bit later, mate.
From the hips down, I am struggling.
Taylor, Amy, first up, I think this might be the first time you've actually interacted with Taylor Phinney. His dad, his mother, an Olympic champion. His father, a great rider in his own right, winner of a stage of the Tour de France, has Parkinson's disease. But, what a character, and great to see someone like Taylor Phinney really getting stuck into such an important event like this.
Oh, he's so refreshing, isn't he? Yes, I've never met him before, and even here virtually. What a dude. You could just see that actually, there are so many different types of athletes in this world. You've got your really extreme, the way they work is that they have to be so focused and have done all their training and, got really like analytical again about things. And then you've got the other side of athlete that actually the way that they work best is to be super chilled and relaxed and have that kind of really, relaxed body and mind and everything and spirit, and that is clearly him. So fantastic that he's taking part today, and I just feel like for everyone else, knowing that even someone like him who is so incredibly talented is riding alongside them, is just brilliant. And to raise all this money for the charity as well, just doing it all together, and that's the biggest thing.
Okay, well, I think it's about time. We're just with Taylor Phinney there, as I said, still following along with his group. He's got just a smidge under 19 kilometres to go, and the gaps are starting to close down now, slowly but surely. The drops team, unsurprisingly, are narrowing the gap. And remember, we do have this really nasty climb at the end, and that's where things will really make a bit of a difference, that power to weight ratio. But they've still got a lot of chasing to do. Obviously, Will Cook's group have 22 Ks under the wheels. The drops team only 17, so there's a 5 kilometre distance between these two groups. I tell you what, Amy, let's have a bit of a chat with Sarah Storey and just see, hopefully the audio will work. Let's have a bit of a chat with Sarah again, see how she's going. Take it away.
Yeah, there you are. Sarah, can you hear me?
Sarah can just about hear you. With the noise of the turbo, it's Barney here. I can direct some questions over to her.
All right, well, I can already see that she's on it, and she's already taking in some supplements. She's reboosting her legs. We all know she's the most successful female Olympian, Paralympian, pretty much, well, I think of all time, with her 14 golds and, all those amazing racing bibs in the background. How are you feeling, Sarah? How is the excitement and hopes for today with your team? How are the legs feeling? Can she hear? She's got a little thumbs up. I don't think she wants to
answer, Amy. Yeah,
she doesn't. You know what? And I am not surprised. She is heads down. She knows exactly what she wants to do. Very opposite, shall we say, to Finley. Sarah's amazing. She's got her own Storey racing team, which she runs alongside her husband Barney. And I think what's amazing about Sarah is that she's got all this incredible success herself, with 14 gold medals dangling around, Olympic medals in her house, along with so many more. And I think, what's so good about her is that she takes on young athletes. She nurtures them. She brings them on into her team. She really develops them with all of her experience, and they're riding alongside with her today in lockdown. But look at her, she's going for it. Her legs are driving away. Probably the lactic acid is burning, but I reckon And yeah, I don't think she can hear me, but I want to know what their tactics are for this last hill, because I think they are secretly pedaling along, and that's where their experience is going to come out. They are going to get that hill. They're going to know exactly what to save in those legs to be able to power it up that very last hill. So I'm excited to see, along with everyone else, what's going to happen.
I certainly am indeed. Now, we believe that Sarah actually did manage to hear all of that. We've just been assured by our production team, but she's got her mic turned off. Probably a good idea, because looking at the stats there, Alex, that she was putting out, she was driving really, really hard at or near her threshold. So that's the amount of power she can sustain for around about an hour. So she's going to be in a lot of pain. She's used to that, as we well know. But look at this. It looks as if we're going to have a coming together very, very shortly of the Mike Tindall and Will Cook group. So this is what the handicap system is all about. A well-executed handicap system should see all of the groups theoretically merge towards the end of the race. We've got a merging happening here with Tindall and Cook. Alex, what are your thoughts on this merging of the two groups at the front?
It looks a little bit like Mike Tindall's pedaling with a flat tyre at the moment, because certainly the group behind him is catching up pretty quickly. Come on, Tins, put the hammer down, old boy. But what's been really interesting actually about the last few minutes, and particularly talking to Dame Sarah Storey, why on earth, if you're entering the hurt zone, would you want to sort of stop and have an interview? With the greatest of respect, Amy, it's been fascinating. I only this morning actually, I took my boy up to Wormwood Scrubs, and we were kicking a ball about, and he was sort of asking, he's 8 and a bit, and he's saying, you know, how do you get to the top? How do you become a top sports person? And I found myself saying, well, I think it's about how much you want it. And Amy, I'd love to know your thoughts on that, but it comes down to really, how much do you want to get to the top, and how deep is that desire to go into that hurt zone when others won't? And then you talk to someone like Taylor Phinney, who frankly looks like he's sort of pedaling without hands in a Hawaiian shirt, and, you know, has taken a completely alternative route to success. But I honestly, you know, you then see Sarah Storey going absolutely great guns, and that I think is possibly a little bit more of a sort of honest reaction. Amy, what were you? Were you someone who's very casual on your route to the top, or were you somebody who saw the goal and never let it out of your sight?
Yeah, you know what? I think for me, when I missed out on the Turin Olympics in 2006, so 4 years before Vancouver, that was it. I mean, blinkers were on. I was so dedicated. You know, every day was pretty much, is this going to help me get to the Olympics and win a medal, yes or no? And I just lived my life like that. So no, I was the Sarah Storey. I was heads down, you know, super, you know, every decision of every day was, is this going to help me win a medal? So yeah, I can see she's got a lot of pride at stake. You know, this might be a charity ride. It might be on Zwift. They might not be on the real roads, but hang on a minute. There's a lot of pride and credibility here. And, you know, no one wants anyone beating them. And you can just see that passion inside of them is still fighting them through to that very end of the finish line. Maybe she'll speak to us then.
Fingers crossed.
Indeed. Well, no real surprise, because she is like, it put herself in the hurt locker, as we like to say. And just a bit of an update on the road. Mike Tindall's group, again, he's taken no prisoners at all. He's overtaken the CEO of the charity. I mean, he hasn't even looked round and given him a wave, as far as I'm aware. Brutality, sports brutality at elite level. He is now in front. There is the CEO. But before we actually have a chat, another potential chat with Will, it's time to throw to another VT. Now, we've seen throughout this broadcast the impact of Parkinson's disease on various individuals. Now it's time for a little VT from another sufferer of the disease. It's Simon.
Hello Swifters, hello riders, thanks for doing this today. My name's Simon Cooper. I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a star sportsman. I'm here because, unfortunately, I've got Parkinson's disease. I was diagnosed in 2017. In 2015, I went up Mont Ventoux with my friends and actually found it relatively easy. In 2017, I really struggled. Within a month, I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed there and then with Parkinson's disease. And there's about 24, 25, 30 symptoms, various symptoms, and I've got 5 or 6 of them. Other people have got completely different ones. Why have I got it? Nobody knows. It's completely random. There's no family history. But the fact is, 1 in 37 people are still expected to be diagnosed with it. So if you're riding the challenge with PD, congratulations. And if you haven't got PD, please help us. Cure Parkinson's Trust are leading the chase to slow, stop and reverse Parkinson's disease. If you imagine going up Mont Ventoux, they're 2/3 of the way up. They're at Chalet Reynard. They're almost there. They need this final push, and you're helping us today. So please make a donation to Cure Parkinson's via their Just Giving page, the details of which can be found in the event description box, or head to justgiving.com and search for Drops UCI. Every penny raised today, up to £10,000, will be matched by an anonymous donor. Thank you so, so much. Which just leaves me to head off on my new Christmas present. Bye-bye. It's electric.
Well, a lovely message from Simon there, and I'm sure some of the riders out on Zwift today would be, would probably give a handsome sum for that electric bike as ridden by Simon there. Now, I believe it might be a chance to speak to another rider. I believe, Alex, I think it's time to have a bit of a chat with Frankie, who is, of course, in the last group on the road. Here is Frankie. I'll leave you to it.
Thank you, Matt. Frankie, can you hear us? How are you getting on?
Yep. Yeah, we're getting on all right.
We'll keep it short and sweet because you're going great guns at it. Because this morning you were...
Yes. Carry on, sorry.
Joys of live broadcasting when people are burning the calories big time. Tell us what you've done this morning, because this isn't your first hit out today, is it?
No, so Saturdays are usually a longer endurance ride. So I've had a couple of hours on the bike this morning. So my legs are really struggling now, for sure.
I feel very guilty about my lion and frothy coffee, but I'm glad someone's been doing the work for both of us. Tell us how you're getting on. How are we in terms of tactics? How is the game plan rolling out at the moment?
Well, we've just made a big catch on the group. I can't actually tell which group, but we're all nicely together around the beacon, riding really smoothly, about 5 watts per kilo. So, pretty hard going. As you can probably tell.
Capturing that.
We're
Keep
riding
going.
really well as a group. Really well as a group, around 5 watts per kilo. And yeah, we've caught a group or two. So, doing well.
Good. One more quick question. There's been a lot of quite big talk from some of the rugby players in the group. Austin Healy said that he's going to win it. Mike Tindall is going surprisingly well, despite the huge red curry that he had for lunch. Quietly confident, just that you're where you need to be, and I imagine it's all going to come down to that remarkable finish. Are you confident and comfortable with where you sit right now?
Let's just see what happens when the gradient goes up, hey?
I love it. Fighting talk. Keep it nice and calm, keep it nice and quiet, and we'll see you at the finish line. Thanks, Frankie.
Well, great chat from Frankie there. I mean, you did well. Are you sure you're not being paid by some more of the rugby guys to actually kind of slow her down a little bit there, Alex, by your repeated questioning? Because she was...
Very clever tactics, actually, Matt. I like the way that you think. You've obviously done this game before. I was just merely trying to help with the production, but I like the way you're thinking.
No, I mean, when she talks about, when Frankie was talking about 5 watts a kilo, it's world class. I mean, unsurprisingly, she is a former individual student union champion. She races regularly in the Zwift Racing League, and actually tomorrow we've got another round of the ZRL, the Zwift Racing League. Not too sure if she's down there, but she is used to racing on Zwift, and I can assure you that the numbers that she's quoted, 5 watts a kilo, would make most people keel over. That is world class pace that they are setting at the moment. An interesting question that you actually asked, Alex, is, do they think they're going to make it? I think it could go down to the wire, because there's still a reasonable gap, but they are closing it. 3.7 kilometres now, roughly, just under 4 Ks between the front group and the back group. So Mike Tindall doing a very, very good job indeed. And fair play to Will Cook. His group, or where he is on the road, he hasn't dropped too far behind Mike Tindall, but look at the determination on the face of Tindall there. Full sweat on, pure focus there on the face of Will Cook as well. Everybody is fully in the zone, and I think given the amount of time that they've now been riding, they are going to be in the Payne zone. This is at a point where, as you said before, Amy, it's about how much do they want it. And maybe just give us a bit of an insight into what it's like to be a champion, because obviously you've got to be physically fit, mentally in the right place, but it's all about how much you can suffer and how much you kind of are willing to put yourself in the hurt locker.
Yeah, of course. And I think I was quite lucky in my sport. We were, sprint sport. So I've not had to sit on a bike for hours and hours or go for really long, lengthy runs or anything like that. But a different kind of pain. For me, it was that power, that speed. You were lifting weights and, how heavy can you squat? And, that's a different kind of pain with your muscles literally almost ripping as you're lifting weights. But I mean, even just to see this grit here, I think what keeps you going is always having that goal, isn't it? So whether it is that end goal of an Olympics or getting to a World Championships, or is it competing in that very first marathon or your first local half marathon or whatever it might be, coach to 5K, it doesn't matter your level. It's having that goal. And I think it's not letting yourself down. So I think once you've given yourself that mission, whatever it might be, you want to achieve it. And whether that's built inside of you that you're born with it, or whether it's all these external factors. And I think something like today, once you've got this incredible charity, we all know that it's been such a tough year for charities to get money, all events. Normally most of us would be at some red carpet, we'd be doing some big ball or some big fundraising event, and that can't happen. So I think there's something really special to be sat in your living room or your garage or wherever it is, and to be sweating it out. The thing about Zwift, isn't it, is that everyone's doing it at the same time. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're all sat on your bike, sweating it out, grinding it out to get to this end goal. And to know that there's just this incredible, literally pot of gold at the end of this money being raised for a charity, I think gives you that passion and that drive, so that when you're in that pain, when you need to fight through that lactic acid, you've got a purpose to it and you want to keep pushing through.
Well, very, very eloquently put there, Amy. I think you summed that out exceptionally well. Now, Alex, your background is rugby. You've got your own podcast. You've been working in TV around. You know a lot of these rugby players very well. We've got Mike Tindall on the screen, a gentleman that you know very, very well indeed. If you could give him some advice now, and you were under his payage as a manager, what sort of tips would you be giving him now? Because he hasn't got that far to go. You can just see on the right-hand side there, he's done 32.8 Ks. He's a fair distance in front, and he is actually now into Surrey. So they're on the approach to the final climb. So what would you be telling him now if you were his manager?
In all honesty, I'm a big subscriber of the look good, play good. Most professional athletes nowadays, there's a brand to protect. And when you think of the likes, I don't know if we can bring him back up on screen, but when you think of the likes of Anthony Joshua, you think of the likes of Roger Federer, David Beckham, these were master craftsmen who looked good when playing. And when you look at the state of Tindall right now, regardless of how well he does in this, I fear that the post-match imagery is not going to be quite of the caliber that enables us as a manager or an agent to grow the brand, which would be a little concerning at this point. But you've got to take it as you find it. Sometimes success comes in many forms. There is the good-looking form as those that we've mentioned, Federer, Joshua, etc., and then there's Mike. But he's getting the job done, so we've got to give him full credit for that at this point. Although every time we see him, he sort of seems to be being overtaken by everybody. But perhaps is that just imagery? I'm very, very impressed with the output. I cannot fault him on that front. And actually Will Cook as well, who is a much smaller man in stature, but certainly chucking out the power. And I think it's great to see the two people who have really spearheaded this entire event and championing the cause of Cure Parkinson's as passionately as they do, really putting in the effort and hopefully coming up with a bit of the glory as well.
Indeed. Well, the thing I do admire about Mike Tindall is the fact, although there's a slightly unorthodox look to him, he's clearly hurting. I mean, I respect that. I think there's a unique integrity to the honesty. I mean, there's no mask there. He is wearing his heart on his sleeve in terms of effort. And as we have another look at Taylor Phinney here, just under 300 watts. Incredibly, again, a reminder. I wish we did have the camera showing his legs as well. He paints in circles. He pedals in circles. He's a former double pursuit world champion, a time trial aficionado, and but still has decided to ride in sandals on essentially a town bike. Brilliant stuff. Again, what a way to raise money for a very, very important cause. And he's looking good. Look at Phinney here, going past a few riders, takes a swig from his virtual bottle. He's using, again, some kind of weird indoor yoga techniques to try and make himself a little bit lighter. Never seen that before on the Zwift platform. But one thing's for sure here, Amy, he's having fun, isn't he? I think he's definitely hurting, but he's making it look almost pleasant, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? I think, maybe that's his tactic to get through the pain, is just kind of put the smile on and smile even harder. I remember my coaches always knew when I was literally in trouble if I was lifting, because actually, my smile became bigger. And it was this kind of like thing of getting through that pain was just laugh it out, just smile it out. So I think that's his good tactic, because we know he is very talented. I think all of these guys, especially Sarah that we've just got there, we are going to see them really, really dig deep in the last hill. And I can't wait to see suddenly maybe that kind of seriousness go even to the next step. There's Sarah there. She's still, being guided by her husband there. And I think, I just can't wait to see what happens in those last few kilometres.
Well, talking about what's going to happen in the last few kilometres, Sarah Storey is around. We've just got information through from Zwift headquarters that Sarah's only 600 metres behind Mike Tindall at the moment. So Sarah Storey ripping up this virtual tarmac. You can just see a real flurry there of little icons just above the riders. That's a power-up that, if anybody's not familiar with this and are looking at Zwift for the first time, obviously it is a fitness platform, it's a social platform, but there's also the gamification. So what basically riders are randomly given at certain points throughout the course random power-ups, which basically makes them more efficient. And the one that you want on a climb is the featherweight power-up, which makes you 10% lighter for a set amount of time, for 30 seconds, 15 seconds, should I say. And drops are now on the climb as well. They've still got a lot of work to do. This is going to be close. I think in relation to how they did the handicapping system here, this is going to be a right thriller. I mean, Alex, what are your thoughts? It's coming together, but there's still a lot of work to do from the drops team.
I know this sounds really ridiculous, given that I'm sitting watching with a cup of tea, watching people on a cyber bike race. My heart rate is actually going up. I don't know whether, Matt, that's your commentary or whether we're getting near the end or whatever it is. I'm actually genuinely, I'm not entirely sure what is going on and who is doing what, but just everyone, you can just feel that the accelerator is starting to be pushed down a little bit harder. Quite nervous for Tins. We keep going back to the Thai red curry as the pre-match meal, and I fear that this could be the moment that the air starts to go out of the tyres. Will Cook nicely placed, very competitive in there, but here come Dame Sarah and Frankie Hall, and I just sort of, there's a good tension to it, which I love.
There certainly is. We can just see as soon as we hit the climb, when the road goes up, that really is exceptionally telling on Zwift and in cycling in general. It's all about the power to weight ratios, and it's now the Hall group. Frankie Hall is absolutely. Oh, I've got an incoming call. I'm just going to. We are live. We're in each other's home. We're not in each other's homes. We're in our own homes. I'm just going to decline that call. Sorry about that. This is live, unfiltered, remote working. But no, it's. Riders now are going to really have to hurt themselves. But this, guys, Amy and Alex, this is where the power to weight ratio really comes into play. So the riders who are quite light in weight generally can still produce more power. So it's just simple mathematics and physics that if you've got a big engine and you're light in weight, you're going to go up the climbs far faster than the heavier riders indeed. And one of those heavier riders, I'm sure I won't mind me saying it, it looks like it's just a helmet with some eyes on the screen there. I can assure you that is indeed Mike Tindall bobbing his way up the climb. Quite an amusing little insight there, but he's clearly suffering, but going very, very well indeed. He is still in front. There's a few riders in front of him, but Dame Sarah Storey, well, she's only 200 metres now behind Mike Tindall. Amy, I know you're not a mind reader, but what do you think is going to be going through the mind of Mike Tindall at the moment?
Oh, he's probably just praying and hoping to get off the bike as soon as possible. I can only imagine that lactic acid burn, the sweat, the heart rate's high, the chest is burning. He is fighting it out. And to know you've got these incredible champions behind you, Olympic gold medalists. I mean, Sarah's got so many Olympic gold medals, you can't even count them anymore. And with, the talent of Frankie behind as well. I mean, just incredible. They want to just get there to the top. And I just can't wait to see them come flying through. I've got 100% confidence in these girls that they are going to just fly it and beast themselves to the end.
Well,
I'd love to know. Oh, sorry, Matt. I was just going to quickly ask Amy at this point how much it comes down to that physical battle and how much is the demons in the head. I mean, how on earth do you control the little voice that says, "I can't go on"? What were your tips and tricks?
Yeah, I think you've just got to come back to the goal, the purpose. Why am I doing this? Is this pain worth it? And the pain is always worth it. So that pain to get that performance, that high performance, or like today, the pride, the pain of, knowing you don't want to lose your place, your pride. So, yeah, they've got to come back to that and refocus.
Well, great insight into what it's all about from a psychological perspective. We've got the picture-in-picture, the PIP, as we like to call it, on Zwift of Will Cook. The news is just in. We've got confirmation. You can see it on your screen, writ large. Will Cook has overtaken Mike Tindall. It is a tete-a-tete, a battle between these two riders. Still a fair distance to go. And Sarah Storey isn't too far. She's only 100 metres now behind Cook and Tindall. Tindall's gone back in front of Cook. This is like a boxing match on wheels. And meanwhile, the drops team are closing as well. Sensational teams. My heart rate, I can assure you, Alex, is slightly elevated here because this is a battle royale on the Leith Hill after party. Remember, we're having a cracking time. We're sat relatively comfortably sipping drinks while these riders turn themselves inside out, and they're turning themselves inside out for a charity, a wonderful charity. Remember, it's Cure Parkinson's. Quick reminder, head over, type into Google, just Giving Drops Tindall. That'll give you access to be able to put some money towards this wonderful fund. But guys, firstly, Amy, what an absolute thriller. I think the handicappers have got this right. Still very, very difficult to call.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult to call, but, they are professional. And look at Sarah there. She knows exactly what she's doing. They've got their tactics. Racing is all about the tactics, whether you're on a bike, in road racing, rowing, whatever it might be. So, I've got confidence in these girls and I know they're going to come through and smash it. They do this daily, week in, week out racing. So go, Sarah!
Well, Sarah Storey is absolutely flying. A big thumbs up there from Barney, her coach / husband. He's looking very relaxed, but she is totally in the zone there. Look at the determination. Really, really important placement of the fan. They've really thought through the setup in the Payne cave of Dame Sarah Storey, and she is absolutely flying up this climb, and it won't be long before she catches Mike Tindall. Will Cook is a further 200 metres up the road, still around 1,700 metres to go, but this climb is so steep. I've ridden it on several occasions in real life and on Zwift, and it just seems to take so long. It's interminable. But Sarah Storey, look at this, peaking well over 300 watts here. She's absolutely flying. And how far behind are the drops team? They're not too far at all. They've closed, guys, Alex, to within 700 metres, and we've got around 1,500 metres to go. How do you think it's going to go? Do you think the catch is going to be made?
What I want is dramatic music. We need to sort of ratchet up the tempo and the tension with some sort of background music. It is beautifully set up, and I think you're absolutely right. Whoever has managed to pull the handicap together has got it absolutely nailed on. What I would say at this point as well is, if you like your tension, there is a real rivalry between Will Cook and Mike Tindall as well. It's not just between those who are professional on bikes and those who've obviously had a little bit of a head start. As the the two frontmen of Cure Parkinson's at the moment, they've done a lot of cycling together. I think they went along the Pyrenees in 2019, and there was a lot of fairly sharp shooting, I think, between the two of them at the top of the various peaks that they were riding at that point. So, it's another little subplot, but we are set up for a fantastic finale. And yeah, all to go for at this point. It has to come down to psychology at this point, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and they're all going to be in a very, very uncomfortable place on the climb of on Keith Hill, without a shadow of a doubt. But it does level out towards the top. We're inside the final 100. Well, we're inside the final kilometre now. We've gone under what we call in cycling the Flamme Rouge. There's a virtual Flamme Rouge in Zwift. This is Dame Sarah Storey. She's not too far behind. Now, confirmation that Dame Sarah Storey has overtaken. Yes, she has overtaken the shiny-headed Mike Tindall. She's put 100 metres into him. There he is, just a little bit further down the road. I think it's going to be difficult to Mike Tindall to get back in contact with Dame Sarah Storey. But the big question is, can Sarah Storey now catch the CEO of Cure Parkinson's Trust, Will Cook, because he has a 200-metre lead and the gradient is now starting to drop. Therefore, the pain can be eased ever so slightly. Look at the face of Cook. He is absolutely fighting that row of wellies on the top in complete contrast to the absolute state of him on a bicycle, trying to kind of eke every single last bit of power out. I mean, Amy, just a bit of insight from you. I mean, how much commitment are we seeing there from Mr. Cook?
Oh, just look at him, head down. He is definitely a secret trainer. You know, he gets on that bike lots. He's got so much passion, and I think that for him is what's driving him. You know, that's what's getting him through the pain barrier. It's the passion for this charity. It's knowing we're raising so much money to help everyone, to help find a cure. So, I mean, look at him go. That is all that's feeding him.
He's done it.
He's done it. He's done it. He's held off the might of Dame Sarah Storey. He's overtaken Tindall. The Drops team didn't manage to catch this CEO, who clearly, well, as you hit the nail on the head there, Amy, he's definitely a secret trainer, because clearly he's had this in the works for at least one whole Olympic cycle. I reckon he's been training for the last 4 years for this. What a performance. I think maybe, Alex, how about stepping in and having a bit of a word as we look a little bit further down the road? Let's have a bit of a chat with Will.
Can you speak at this point, Will?
A little bit, Alex. You know what?
Well done, my friend.
I tried to lead.
How was it? How are you feeling?
A bit tired. You know what? I led that D group for so long. They supported me. They shoved me through so well. Literally a flying start at the bottom of Keith Hill, and then I was just king at Ingram from Storey Racing, and I shot up first half, and then when you started giving all the stuff about Tindall and Dame Sarah, it just was, I was pumped.
Well done you. There's a nice rivalry between you and Tins as well. Is this just a quiet raise of the eyebrow to let him know, or is this one where he'll get 2 to 3 weeks of permanent WhatsApp messages just reminding him of your achievement?
But Mike knows that I have a massive respect for him. He's a patron of this charity. He gives so much of his time, his effort, his little black book to help this charity, and we have really benefited. But importantly, Drive for a Cure, our research has benefited from Mr. Mike Tindall, MD. So I've got respect for him, but you know what? It's quite nice to beat him once in a while.
Quite right too. We're just hearing the breaking news is that Dame Sarah Storey has called for a rematch in 20 minutes time. So you've got a quick change of clothes and a cup of tea, and then you're back on. Are you game?
Well, I do, but Frankie Hall, she's already done a long slow distance this morning and dropped, so I'm not sure it's on. But we'll see. We'll do another one sometime soon, though.
Just a quick final word. I'm sure we hopefully will have a chat with you later on. But just a quick sort of overall synopsis of today from your perspective.
Joyful. I get involved in a few runs and rides for this charity, Tough Mudders and the like. I cannot recommend it highly enough to any of you out there, any riders, runners, walkers. Just take on a challenge, get involved, get some donations going. It's really good for the soul, picks you up, and it helps a great cause. And with your help, folks, we're going to cure this thing. I really believe that. So please do carry on doing exercise and do these challenges for us.
Good on you. We'll let the heart rate come down from 450 beats a minute, and hopefully we'll see you a little bit later on. Well done, Will. Super stuff.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, and pretty much all of our ride leaders have now crossed the line. We just saw, we're having that wonderful little rather breathless chat with Will Cook. We did actually see, Mike Tindall's crossed the line, Frankie Hall has also crossed the line, all the riders, Sarah Storey, of course, wasn't too far behind, and also Taylor Phinney I believe, has crossed the line as well. I mean, guys, I mean, Amy and Alex, that was an absolute thriller. I mean, it really was pretty close. We certainly didn't expect it was going to be Will that would run out first in relation to our ride leaders. But when you step away from the event itself, the racing, the excitement, I've no doubt, we don't know the figures yet, but what a wonderful way, what a wonderfully inclusive way, a way of spreading the net far and wide. And there's a real lovely sense of community, but more importantly, what a wonderful way to raise money for this important charity.
Yeah, of course. I think, we're so excited talking to him. We didn't even notice the finish line, did we? So that's my fault. But you're right. I just think in these times, and with everything going on at the moment, and we're all under lockdown, and why not find yourself a physical challenge? We all know the mental positivities that come out of doing physical things. So find yourself a challenge, find one. Cure Parkinson's are always putting out challenges there. If you love your cycling, find them, research them, and join in on the next time. And, we can all be shouting after you.
And what about thoughts of you, Alex? There, I mean, I'd imagine. I'm pretty glad. I'm on Zwift quite a lot, but looking at the way they rode that, I'm pretty glad I was just sat here virtually, just talking through proceedings, really, because that looked absolutely brutal.
Yeah, sitting and talking is very much my natural habitat. I don't tend to like to get in the ring with the superstar athletes. But what I will say is I have not an experienced Swifter before, and I've not actually done it. But I have, having watched that, mainly I think it's the sunshine. But I'm without wanting to commit to it, there's a part of me that really now wants to take that challenge on. And it's because I think, having sat and spoken about it, you don't get that high which Will and all the riders will be enjoying now, which is that they've been out there, they've done something incredible, they've burnt the calories, and hopefully they've raised a huge amount of money for Cure Parkinson's as well. I feel sort of like I've got to go and achieve something today, certainly sitting around you two, with Amy's logo in the background of high performance, and Matt, you've steered us through this so masterfully. I've definitely got to go and achieve something a bit more with my Saturday. But yeah, and if that is the outcome, then hopefully it works for lots of other people who sit in my novice seat as well.
Well, I'm afraid, Alex, I'm going to hold you to that. I mean, we'll be speaking after this broadcast. We'll try and hold you to that, and maybe me and Abe will be commentating on you later in the year. Anyway, hold that thought for a moment, because Amy, I believe you're going to drop in and have a bit of a chat with Dame Sarah Storey, who hopefully is now composed and has got her breath back.
Amazing, Sarah. How was that for you? How are the legs feeling?
Yeah, the legs are really good, actually. It was the multitasking that was getting me, because I've got the headphones on for the girls on the Discord app to find out where the different groups were. And then I'm messaging the team on the screen, the B team, as it were. And then I'm trying to concentrate that my wattage was in the right place, and just keep an ear out in case you guys are trying to say anything to me, from the screen. So yeah, multitasking, as you know very well.
Yes, you are definitely good at that, and we could see you were definitely head down in the zone. I mean, how is racing going for you? How is your Storey racing team and all the young girls that you help out and nurture? How is that going in these lockdown conditions?
Yeah, well, sadly there hasn't been any racing since we raced in October. We did have the cyclocross national champs planned in for Kat Ferguson, who's our youngest rider at 14. She was in the C group today, but sadly things have been cancelled. So we've managed to do some time trials since that first lockdown, but literally we're just working out in this virtual world. There's a few of us doing the Zwift Racing League on a Monday night, so we're just trying to pull together as best we can, but it is hard, and so many things cancelled. Just got to try and be patient.
Well, it's been fantastic watching you today. So thank you so much for taking part with everyone. And, we wish you all the best in your weeks and months to come. So thank you for helping raise so much money for this incredible charity.
Thanks, Amy. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, always a pleasure today to talk to Dame Sarah Storey, especially through these troubled times. But again, no, absolutely wonderful stuff. I believe another person who's just about cooled down is Mike Tindall. So, Alex, maybe having a chat with the guy there who looks, a little bit less less in a bad place.
Nice. Sweet, I'm ready to go again. Oh, I can't now hear Alex.
think
Oh,
Alex
hang
is
on. I was coughing, so I turned my mic off. There was a point we came up to you about 10k to go where you looked like you were about to explode. How much did that hurt?
Yeah, well, the problem is the hills for me. You know, annoyingly, when I cycle World Carling on Saturday, we went up the Alpe d'Huez. There's some statistician threw out how many more watts per kilo I have to do when I'm going up a 9% or 10% hill. And unfortunately, it's a lot. So the hill was always going to be a nightmare for me. I changed, so not to say that I was a bit of a geek. I looked up what was the fastest bike that I could do it on to try and stay with people and the quickest. So that's why I was on the Tron bike. But unfortunately, the Tron bike is rubbish when it comes to a steep hill. But yeah, you know, I was like Dave Storey. I was multitasking. I had Archie Curzon on the phone. Q1's been bad for me, so he was motivating me through the rig biz. So, you know, it was multitasking as well as trying to pedal. But the hill is always hard. And the worst thing was because I was trying to do the setup. My setup's been quite poor. My phone was linked to my TV, which switched off with about 2k to go. So I had no idea where the line was. So I didn't even get to do a sprint finish, which was quite disappointing. Suddenly it just flashed up, you finished. So I was like, damn it. But yeah, it was hard. I mean, the hill is always going to be hard for me, but it was enjoyable for the rest of it. I had a great team. I think we need to give a shout out to Zwift and to Cole for help setting this up and making it possible, as well to obviously Dame Sarah and Taylor Phinney and everyone, Frankie Hall and everyone else, Austin and everyone who's taken part, because that's why people sign up to cycle with these guys. And you know, hopefully we'll do a few more of it. But as painful as it is for about 20 minutes of that, it's all worth it when you finish at the end. And I can get off and now plan for Mia's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, sweet. I think this is the first Zoom interview I've done with you in probably 18 months where we haven't had a chat with one of your daughters at the same time. So well done for Stella taking them outside the room.
Yeah, she has come to the door, but fortunately, because the camera's shooting up, you can't see her. So that's all right.
Did you beat Austin?
There's no. If Austin wanted to, there's no chance to beat him. He'd have flown up that hill at the end. So that was the worst way for me to finish, going up a hill. Whereas, you know, Austin is a good cyclist. He can bang out 4 watts a kilo. 4 watts a kilo, which is a big number. So I've got to do to get that. I'm over 330 watts, 340 watts or whatever. So it's quite hard to stay there.
Quick final question: how do you celebrate having achieved something like this? Is there a cold one tonight, or are you still a high-performing athlete who's going back to his red curry?
Yeah, I think there's a few chocolates awaiting me tonight with a few skinny beers, so I don't throw too many calories back in. But yeah, I think I'll definitely earn a beer and a few sweeties.
Good on you. Well done. Thoroughly deserved. Well done, not only on the pedal, but also on pulling all of this together with you and Will and all those who've supported. Well done, Mike. Catch you in a bit.
Thank you to you and Amy and everyone who's helped put it behind and been there and commentated. And now I know that you're in. I will. I'll set out Mr. Wattbike to send you one so that the Atom X arrives and you can get on here and we can do a race, you, me and Hask for the pod maybe or something.
Yeah, I'm very happy on stabilisers or sitting in the sidecar. That's where I'm most comfortable. So Wattbike do a sidecar, hook me up with one. Well done. Speak to you in a bit.
Cheers.
Great stuff. Great to hear from Mike. And I think that just reaffirmed, Alex, your commitment to doing an event in the very near future. And it's lovely to see that you look so delighted as well. We need to speak to we need to speak to one more of the key competitors today. It's Taylor Phinney. I believe he is on the end of the line. Taylor, you're off your bike. You've got yourself a change of clothes, mate. You look a little bit glowing, a little bit red. How was that for you?
It's just the shirt. I got a recovery ball right here.
Whoa. That's that recovery ball.
Dream.
I mean, how did it go for you? Because you actually did make up quite a lot of road. You were catching up with the front guys. So, all things considered, including your setup, riding in flip flops, essentially, you must be pretty pleased with your condition right now, Taylor.
Well, I was gonna wait with this sort of news, but this ride really has me thinking about a comeback. Just kidding. It was it was me and Big Tin just yo-yoing, and in the end he dropped me. So I don't know. I don't have anything to say about my performance today, other than I enjoyed myself, and you guys really nailed the coverage. I loved the energy that you brought, especially the like the spice, and then Amy, you really were the glue that held everything together. So thank you.
Isn't it lovely? I don't think I've ever had commentary feedback and so eloquently put before. So thank you very much for that, Taylor. But more importantly, mate, in terms of an event and raising money for a cause that's very, very close to your heart, it must have been a successful day. You must be really happy with the way things went and the amount of engagement that we got, the amount of Zwifters that joined you on the ride as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think living with Parkinson's in the family, I mean, I can think of every single time I've thought to make a wish in my life. It's always been surrounding a cure for this disease. So it's cool to actually be a part of an organization that's really pushing and putting the money towards that. So yeah, I'm super happy. Thanks to everybody that came out, and you're probably not going to find me on Zwift anytime soon, but I'll be on the internet somewhere.
Great stuff, Taylor. It's always wonderful chatting to you, mate. And thanks for taking part and really giving it your all in your own unique way, which you always have done. It's been an absolute privilege, mate. You take care and catch up with you very soon. Great stuff. Again, what a unique character, Taylor Phinney, and what a rather lovely decorated bowl of muesli. Did you see the blueberries just round the top there?
Yeah, I mean that's Instagram picture right there, isn't it? Of like the perfect bowl of fruit and yogurt and muesli that we all dreamed that we had time to make.
Absolutely wonderful. Now we're going to have time for one more final interview. Amy, could you just drop in and have a bit of a chat with Frankie from Drops for us before we finally wrap things up? Alex, sorry. Oh, Alex is doing this. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hi, Frankie. We're going to have a quick check-in. I don't think we've got too long, but you're in the warm down. Where are we mentally? Where are we emotionally? Where are we physically?
Well, it's I definitely agree with Sarah, trying to hold that kind of power around your threshold, as well as listen to what people are telling you in your ear and type towards the group is definitely multitasking to its extreme. But you've just got to think, as Taylor said, living with Parkinson's in the family, every time that something starts to hurt or every time that you're pushing yourself, you've just got to remember what these people are going through living with Parkinson's. Their daily tasks that you just don't realise become so hard to do and almost impossible. So that definitely gives you motivation each time you're training, and hopefully we've got the message out today and we'll get lots of generous donations all going towards such an incredible cause.
And so say all of us. A quick final question. You've had a heck of a day of it in terms of physical output. Do you get tomorrow off, or are you back on the bike tomorrow?
No, back on the bike tomorrow. Monday off though. Monday off, thankfully.
Well deserved. Enjoy it when Monday comes. Well done on a remarkable effort, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Well done, Frankie. Thanks for
Thanks, guys. It's been great.
Well done.
Well, guys, great hearing the insights from some of our ride leaders who, of course, are directly affected by Parkinson's as well. It's been a great day, but before we finally wrap things up, Amy, quick couple of words from yourself on today.
Oh, you know what? Just incredible. I think everyone's pure determination, that spirit, that fight, that passion, everything that, people need to perform in life and everything. And it's exactly what we need, nowadays. And I think the fact that today everyone's got on that bike to raise money for this cause, everyone's been brought together, everyone is doing it because they either know someone who's got Parkinson's or, is connected. There's some connection with all of us. And I just feel like, that's what's so powerful. That's what's powerful about exercise, about doing something like this, and everyone's managed to do it. And it's been great to sit back here with our coffee and in a nice warm, environment, not having to spin the legs, and not having to have sweat dripping off us. Although it was just so exciting to watch. So I'm going to send out a massive thank you to everyone, and still remind everyone to please donate, and just spread the word for the next events.
Thanks very much, Amy. And Alex, finally from you, mate.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, it's been a real insight and introduction. It's been lovely to ride alongside you two this afternoon. Proper pros and Olympic champions. It's not my everyday Saturday. I'm normally recording a pod with two fairly shambolic rugby players. So it's been very nice to have some expertise and class about a production. But it's huge respect and awe to everyone that's taken part today. Well done to Will Cook, not only for leading everybody home, but also for the energy and drive that he's put into what hopefully has been a really successful event for Cure Parkinson's. Tim's likewise, who's done so much to champion the cause. I think the real heroes today were the 8 cyclists who took part with Parkinson's, and that is a remarkable achievement, hugely inspiring. And I don't quite know how I've managed to come on a broadcast like this as a novice and somehow end up by going away committing to being involved in the next ride. But that, if it's a double thumbs up, and if that's the point of today, then I'm only too happy to be signing up for the Payne, whatever it is, the Payne locker next time around. So if I could go back, I would, but I won't. So I'm in. Brilliant day. Thank you very much indeed for having me.
Well, thanks very much, Alex, and Amy as well. All I can do is echo your sentiments. It's been a lot of fun. Just a couple of notes. There's 3 more events that are going to be run this year to raise money for the Cure Parkinson's Trust. They're overseas. They are the Raid events. There's the Raid Alpine, the Raid Pyrenean, and the brand new Raid Ventoux as well, although I understand that is already fully subscribed. So head over to www.cureparkinsons.org for all the information you need if you want to enter those events, which will raise even more money for this wonderful cause. Or Google Just Giving Drops Tindall, and you'll find a way there to make sure you can donate. It's been an absolutely wonderful day. I've had a blast, and all it leaves me to do now is to thank Amy and Alex, Zwift, Lecole, of course, the charity themselves, everybody that took part. It's been a blast. Hopefully we've raised a good amount of money for a wonderful cause. But for now, from virtual London, from me, Matt Stevens, and the rest of us, it's goodbye and stay safe.